So much of life is about what you have and what you don't know. You better back it up. When I was the IT guy for Anheuser-Busch email team, we had to back up everything. We're going to show you how you can back up even 3D objects, everybody. Stay tuned for this one.
Reflectivity.
All right. We're talking about scanning stuff here. I've got all kinds of objects. We're going to do a scan of my Cardinal Cowboy hat. But welcome, everybody, to the Your Little Castle Show, where we get to help people. If you have a castle and you don't have any documentation about it, you might as well get it scanned. Our expert here, Michael Netherton, can do that for you. And we put a little Facebook post out, said, hey, we're looking for interesting, cool people to come and talk about their business. Michael replied, and so we brought him in to talk about it. And wow, the technology, we're going to go over how this works a little bit and get into it. But tell me, what is the biggest mistake? And I kind of alluded to it there, but if people don't have a backup, if people don't have a copy of how it is that whatever it is they have is designed in a 3D fashion, somewhere that it can be archived and put into a computer, they could be in deep trouble if something happens to it.
Absolutely. I mean, this applies to businesses as well as individuals. For businesses that, have been around for decades and all of their information is on paper, or they just don't have any information because this is, their archives have been lost for whatever reason. If whatever it is that makes them money no longer exists, it gets broken, it gets lost, whatever, well, it's cheaper to hire me to scan it and create a model that won't ever disappear than it is to take that risk and hope that tomorrow is always going to be there.
Yeah, I could imagine there's oh gosh, you're thinking about, and what was interesting to me was I thought this would be a $20,000 or $30,000 per job deal, but you could get things down to as little as $150 if it's a very small item. Somebody's ring or some precious heirloom family.
Absolutely. I mean, any one of your rings, now those are relatively complex geometry, but any one of those would be $300 or less. Right. And then you would have a complete 3D model of that. If you needed to have that reproduced, or just for insurance purposes, you've got absolute documentation of what that looks like and what is contained therein.
And something very important, especially if it's unique, right? There's never been any other version of it. You want to have that copy because they can't just go back to the original manufacturer and say, hey, make me another one of those.
Absolutely.
That's not how it works.
One of the jobs I did for the History Museum was scanning Teddy Roosevelt's beer stein from the 1904 World's Fair.
Very cool. Tell me, how did you scan that?
So I use a structured light scanner, and so what it does is it uses flashing lights. It looks kind of like a movie camera, and stereoscopic cameras. And as the each frame is captured, it's capturing in space. It's capturing points on that object. So if I were to scan your hat, what it's doing is it's capturing the distance between the camera and the object, and then you end up with a point cloud. With that point cloud, then the software gives you a rough model, and there's a lot of work that goes into then removing erroneous data or superfluous data to come up with a functioning 3D model. But it all depends on how complicated the product is. I mean, let's say your trophy is easy to scan, except that it's highly reflective. So for something like that, we have to use scanning spray. What is scanning spray? It's just a product. It comes from Germany. It's designed specifically for this purpose. It produces a 10 to 20 micron thick coating on whatever it is that is being sprayed. The spray itself is harmless to any object that it's placed on, and it self-evaporates, but it gives the scanner long enough period of time to be able to capture that data before that before that spray evaporates.
Where there's a will, there's a way, everybody. That's really high-tech stuff. But so now it just allows it to detect. It essentially creates a film so that it can see what it's looking at.
Absolutely.
And then render it.
Otherwise, because it's a camera, so if it can't see, if the object doesn't reflect back to it, then to the camera it's invisible.
Okay. We're talking real techie stuff here, everybody. We're going to show you a little bit about these cameras as they go, too. But before I get into that, tell me a little bit. Residential, commercial, you're helping anybody that needs this, and there's thousands of people out there that need this service.
So yes, absolutely. It's run the gamut. I mean, literally, I have scanned small plastic models because there's some collector has a model that no longer is produced, and he wants to be able to make more of them, or he wants to build it in a larger scale. Industrial clients that have metal dies. They have molds that need to be documented so that they can either be reproduced or at least preserved. Did a job for an elevator company where they needed 3D information for an elevator motor. We literally got on top of an elevator and rode that to the top of the shaft and scanned the motor there in that elevator shaft.
Wow. Yeah, the options are really unlimited, and it's a matter of, like, I've had, just as a guy who, here we go. I design my own little devices at times. I've developed a back scratcher, if you will. It's an automated back scratcher, and all it is a window spindle that goes like this. But as the wire goes out, it goes, and it goes through a little V. As it spins, it goes back. But if I needed the parts for that created from scratch, and this is what I guess a lot of people do. What did people do historically when they needed to come up with a new component and they had a drawing of it? They'd have to produce it, and they have to duplicate that. And they don't have the original master, then they're coming to you saying, "Hey,
yeah, I mean,
document this thing for me."
In the old days, I mean, that's not that far back. In the old days, it was all pen and pencil drawings, and I took drafting in high school. I loved it, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And with this, it's just super simple. I mean, it's basically point and shoot, capture the data. The hard part is just knowing how to do it correctly, and there's really nothing out there. If you can see it, you can scan it.
There we go. Write that one down, everybody. If you can see it, you can scan it, and that's what these things do. So let's jump into this after we're going to take a break here in a minute, but when we come back in the second half of this show, we're going to hold these things up, show us a little bit how they work, and we've got another video that we're going to play for everybody. But literally, like, if anything exists could you scan the St. Louis Arch, for instance? Would you have to be?
It's possible, but it's not practical.
Step back for that a little bit.
Absolutely.
I bet you hopefully they have some 3D renderings of that.
That one's an easy one because there's enough documentation on that one. But let's say you've got let's say the ketchup bottle over in Illinois.
Right.
That's something that is unique, and yeah, exactly. And there's probably no actual model of that. So if that were ever lost, how are you going to recreate it? You might be able to get close, but you're not going to get it exact.
Yeah, you want to have a 3D rendering of that, and because that thing, I don't even know how that was assembled. I've driven past it a couple times going over to Illinois, played some baseball over there. There's the famous ketchup bottle, but pretty cool. Well, tell me then, there's multiple times I can imagine you've had somebody who was in a tough situation and they really needed your services. Give me an example of a time you really helped a client that was like, oh no, what do? We don't have any documentation for this, and you had to go over and save the day.
Well, actually, this just happened a couple of weeks ago. I was contacted by a construction firm that is working on a project in downtown. They are in the process of preparing a large space, basically almost the entire 7th floor of this building, for a data center. But the floor has to be 100% level for this to work because they apparently have airflow projections in order to keep the equipment cool that require this level of specificity in order to be able to work properly. Well, the building is probably close to 100 years old. I mean, a lot of the buildings in downtown are, and the floor is not level.
Yeah, I've been in some old buildings, and yeah, your floors go like this, and you can feel them.
Exactly. Well, in this particular case, the floor deviates by nearly 5 inches from one end of the building to the other.
Okay.
And while they got basic information by just using a laser level and taking measurements by hand around the circumference of the space, they needed actual highly detailed information so that when they pour the concrete, they know exactly how much to pour and where. And by using a laser scanner, then I was able to go in and capture that entire space, floor, ceiling, walls, columns, everything, and give them that data by putting a plane Think of it as a pane of glass that is absolutely level with gravity. So if you imagine this table and this is perfectly level, that's your reference. And then with that, then I can calculate the difference in depth between the plane and the actual surface and pinpoint exactly where the gaps are.
Yeah, when you're talking about airflow, you've got not much variation because air is going to go wherever it needs to. And if that's off by a little bit, it redirects the wrong way. Now you're not cooling
Exactly
the way they needed it to be cooled, and can cause all kinds of problems. Tell me a big challenge that you have either overcome or helped somebody to overcome, because business is all about adversity and how you deal with it. My challenges, we've all had challenges. Where's a time where you can say you saw a challenge and made a difference?
So that would probably be for a pharmaceutical company that I worked for a couple months ago. They have this, they do nuclear medicine, and they have this large facility that apparently the machinery was designed and manufactured in Italy, brought over here, and a team of Italians tried to put it together, but apparently it didn't go very well, and nothing is square. Well, in order for this pharmaceutical company to actually get this into production, they needed to have very detailed information in these small spaces of where everything actually exists in space, so that they can finish creating whatever hardware it is that they need to be able to connect from one point to another. The only way to accomplish that was by scanning those spaces and converting them into a three-dimensional object that could be used in CAD so that they can actually start making money.
Yes, if your business is not generating revenue, then there you've got problems. But you help them to get that, overcome where they were stuck, and literally put them on paths that be profitable.
Absolutely.
Very key to what it takes to be successful on this little planet. And we all know that there are times when the innovation is what it is. And so how long has this 3D technology been around, where you can actually go in and scan something like this and then turn it into a 3D actual rendering?
Well, like anything, it starts off, with very expensive equipment, and only, very large corporations can generally afford it. But as far as commercial scanning goes, I would say you're looking at probably the last 6 to 7 years where professional grade scanners have been available. The last 1 to 2 years, consumer grade scanners have come out, and they're nice little toys to play with. I've used a few of them just to see how they do, but they're nothing like working with the professional stuff.
Wow, okay, so this is a relatively new innovation with regard to the technology. I know 3D printing's been around for a little while. Now that's a little different though. They're taking an object that was created with the software and then printing it to be 3D. You're taking something that already existed, converting it into something, so they have a document for that and they can reproduce it afterwards.
Exactly, and in some cases it's because the client has something, that they have produced a sample of, and they need to convert it into a working prototype. So I'm able to scan it, put it into CAD, make whatever changes are necessary in order to get it to where they want it to be, and then print samples so that they can then test and make sure that they work correctly.
Very efficient, everybody, saving the world, making a big difference. We're going to jump into a quick video we've got here, and this one's called Scanning Building, everybody. Take a look here and let Michael describe for us a little bit about what he's doing here. Michael, tell us what this device is doing here.
So what this is doing is it is using a laser and LiDAR to capture. So the scanner is capturing the real-time data. The head of the scanner is spinning, projecting laser with radar, and it's capturing all that data, 360 degrees horizontal, 280 degrees vertical, and then it calculates all of that information in space and stores it in the scanner itself for later post-production, as far as aligning everything and putting the entire building together. The scanner itself is tripod mounted, and it also has GPS built in so that it knows exactly where it is in space, so that when you're done, you can put the building together or whatever it is you're scanning with very minimal effort.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy.
Stuff, man. Yeah,
He's a
it.
well-known
We're gonna put
fixture in the
this-
stands
yeah,
at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey, we're looking for the small business owners and leaders in our community to be on our show. This is the Your Little Castle Show. We air 3 times a week, every week on ABC, and we would like to put somebody you know, or maybe it's you, who's a business owner to be on our show. You'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you, and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. It takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there is no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Check that out. Go to bigleagues.com. So there you have it, everybody. And we're offering, we kind of opened this up a little bit. If you'd like to be on the show, let us know, and we will discuss with you about what you have and see if it's a good fit to have you on our little show here. But the media has changed the way the world has evolved. And so magnetize your media. If you'd like some help with that, get this book. Yours truly wrote the introduction here, essentially the first chapter. It is an Amazon #1 seller right now, and there's just lots of great information here. I've actually gone through the book myself. I can tell you there's good information that will tell you how to catch up with media. But that's kind of the space we're in here. We're helping people generate media and create content and build 3D renderings. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. How has technology changed? I mean, you are a technology company, really, and how this has evolved. And then let's go into showing people a little bit of how these devices actually, when you set them up, and describe the way they work.
Sure, absolutely. We can start off with a small handheld scanner. This scanner is a laser.
Hold it up, like right there, a little to your. There you go. Yeah, you go.
This scanner is a laser scanner, and so it emits up to 17 lines of laser lines that then capture that data. This only captures the surface. This is not a scanner that will capture the actual photo detail as well. This is a metrology grade scanner, which scans down to the sub millimeter level as well. So this is good for scanning larger objects that need absolute detail, usually for car parts.
Very cool. Yeah, car parts obviously need to be.
This, there we go.
There you go. Yep.
This is a wireless handheld scanner that does all the work. It actually has a display on the back of the scanner, and what it does is it captures all the information with these cameras up front, and by doing so, it does all of the work internally as far as lining up all the scans and capturing all that data. And then it's just a matter of uploading it to the computer and finishing processing the data. But this, this is a very expensive unit. I only recently purchased this because they are incredibly expensive. But as my business has grown, I needed to get away from the wired devices where the cables are always in the way and you have to drag a laptop around with you everywhere you go. With this device now, I can scan you right now, and I don't need any other equipment to do so.
Very cool. And that is what you're talking about when you get into technology. We're all looking for that mobile version that'll take us to where we need to go to get there easily. All right, so this is the big dog, right?
This is the big dog. This is a laser scanner, and what it does, it has a ball here in the center that rotates at high speed like you saw in the video earlier, and it throws out a laser beam along with radar, and it uses these cameras along the sides and the tops to capture the visual information as well. So once the scan is complete, you can actually map the surface.
Let me slide it over here.
Sure, absolutely.
Look at that thing right there. That's, yeah. Okay.
And
there's lots going on here.
There is a lot going on there. And again, this is a $100,000 scanner. It's not something that every person is going to be able to afford to purchase. Fortunately, my business has done well enough that it's allowed me to be able to upgrade the technology that I have and offer a greater level of service to my clients. So
between all of the hardware and software on the back end, I mean, what does it take to get, you got to have a computer on the back end and it interprets the data?
You have to have a very powerful computer because you're dealing with millions and millions of data points. And so you need the fastest processor and the largest and fastest video card you can get in order to be able to process this data.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can imagine. We produce TV shows, and we've got to have lots of production superpower with that. We got lots of RAM, big hard drives, fast hard drives.
Absolutely.
That are connected direct and do a lot of that. So tell me, what does it take for somebody to get started with you? How does somebody hire you to come do a 3D job for them?
Well, I mean, at its basic, there's a form on the website that you can fill out and provide the information along with some photos of whatever it is that you need to have scanned. And then either I or somebody will get back with you with a quote. And if it's a small object, it's actually very simple. You just come in, bring it with you. It's scanned right there while you wait, and then the scan will be processed and sent. You'll receive an email link to the file that's put up in our private cloud storage drive.
And so, yeah, you've systematized the way this gets done, and with a techie nerd, your technical background, you want to capture those images. You want to capture so people can send you pictures of what they are anticipating they're going to have you scan.
Yeah, I mean, without the pictures, I can't give an accurate quote as far as what the cost would be to scan something, because I need to be able to see the amount of geometry that's involved. And when I say geometry, I mean how complex is the object. Take a baseball, not a lot of geometry. It's a sphere with stitching, so it's very easy to capture that. But let's say you have something that's much more complex than that. Let's say, I can't think of an object right now, but
well, yeah, so imagine I'm scanning a deck.
Okay, scanning a deck.
Right.
So now you've got a lot of complex geometry, and you also have a very large surface area that you're working with. So now the cost of doing that is substantially more expensive because there's a lot more physical work that goes into it, as well as processing work on the back end.
Yeah, so if somebody wanted to reproduce a deck, a lot of decks I know may or may not have actual instructions, right? And they say, can we reproduce this thing? I want it to have a 3D rendering, or even to scale it. Can you take somebody's deck and say, all right, this one's 24 by 15, 16, we're going to make it 38? And
absolutely. That's the great thing about 3D models, is that you can take You could have a model that's, let's say you go to the store and you're into, let's say you're into remote control cars or boats. You can buy a 1/25th scale model, scan it, and now you can zoom it up to whatever size you want. And I've actually done this for some clients because they wanted to have a boat that they liked that was small and then reproduce it in a larger scale so they can take it out on a lake and actually race them.
Wow. So you could actually then take your own boat that you own and then scan that and then make a miniature version of it too.
I've done that actually.
That is very cool because a lot of people are very proud of their boats.
Absolutely.
They got their specific design and customized, and so now they can take that and say, hey, everybody wants to see my boat? Here's a 3D rendering of it. Put on the
Or
mantle.
print it, and now you have a model in your hand.
Doesn't have a model, print that and then have it on their
Mantle.
on their mantle and they're at their above their home at their fireplace. Very cool. All right. Well, very very interesting, very awesome stuff. I knew I'd get excited about this interview when we were chatting, and I'm glad we made it in here. What's the biggest question that people have for you though when you're getting started? I think this is great, but I call it an objection. What kind of objections? What kind of questions do you run into from people?
Honestly, really, objections are very few and far in between. The biggest question that people have is how much does it cost?
Right.
And generally, they're surprised when they learn that it's not nearly as expensive as you think it would be.
Yeah, I was thinking you're going to start off at $2,000, but you're saying
no. I mean, some of the scans that I do are just running in the few $100 range. I've done jobs that are upwards of $10,000, but those are also very large commercial projects. But we scan anything. So whether it's a ring or whether it's a car or a building, there's nothing that we can't do, and it just really comes down to what's it worth to you.
What is it worth to you to have this thing documented for in perpetuity so that you always have a copy that you can load up to the cloud, and then maybe someday we'll 3D produce these in the cloud. We're all going to live in the cloud someday, some people are saying. Well, what gives you the most satisfaction about what you get to do here? You're revitalizing people that may have, like, well, we lost our, can you scan this and turn it into something we can replicate?
It's hard to quantify what brings that much satisfaction, but in many cases it's the fact that I am able to achieve something very cost effectively for my clients that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do themselves or have done in any other form of technology. So when we're talking about 3D, you're talking about either paper or pencil and paper doing drafting, or you're talking about 3D CAD work, which is very time consuming because that still requires a lot of expertise to do so, or scan it and now you have it.
Now, how often are we excited we have our picture of what we have, but now we can have our 3D rendering of this and have a physical copy?
Well, it's become very popular for people to scan themselves or scan their pets and actually have small figurines printed. So we can do that as well.
All right, everybody. Technology has changed our world. There's so much that goes into it. We've got an expert here. Check it out and make sure that if you have something you need to reproduce that's done some beautiful work for yourself, get that done, because 3D scanning can make it all real for you. Check them out, 3dscanstl.com. Mike Netherton, everybody. Giddy up.